It's now 4:05, December 18th. And this is a hybrid meeting for maintenance and development to discuss with Eversource about the different rates that we're going to expect this winter, different issues, and discuss the lighting throughout the city. I want to thank Eversource for sending representatives to come out and to talk to us about the concerns that the city has. I want to thank the community. For coming out. I want to thank Councilor Victor Dalby. I see him here, and my other colleagues. So we're going to first break it down. We'll discuss the lights first, and then we'll discuss, we'll go into the actual rate thing. So it'll be a two-part thing. But before that, I want see. You guys got to excuse me because sometimes I'm still admitting people. So I'll just go around the room if we can first have Eversource if you can and I want to thank them, the representatives that come out. Usually people don't understand when they send representatives, the representatives that they send from Eversource, they're not the ones who we have an issue with. They send great people. They're great people. You know, they're just the messengers. And it's important to us, especially when I have these meetings, that we keep that in line, understanding that they're the mediators. They're giving us the information. So I always want to thank you guys for coming out. So without ado, I just want to be able to have you guys introduce who you are and what you do.
Sure. Thank you, Counselor. So my name is Leslie Gallouni. I am the newest community relations specialist for Eversource out of Western Mass. Springfield is a part of my service territory. I was born, raised, and still reside in Springfield. So needless to say, I hold Springfield very close to my heart. So we're eager to have the opportunity to not only serve this community, but to address any questions, concerns you might have today. So I've had the honor of meeting some of the city councilors, and I look forward to meeting the entire committee very soon. I'm here with a few more of my colleagues and subject matter experts from Eversource, so I'll let them introduce themselves.
Thank you.
Hey, Councilor Brown, thank you for the opportunity to speak here. Mike Vitabelli, I'm the Director of Community Relations for the Massachusetts. And I'll turn it over to John.
Thank you, Mike.
Pleasure to meet you all. John Caldwell, Manager of Community Relations here at Eversource. And we also have, we're the community relations team of it. The brains of the operation are subject matter experts. I can kick it over to you, Brendan.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brendan O'Brien. I work in our distribution rates and revenue requirements group, supporting Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New Hampshire jurisdictions. Pleasure to meet everybody.
Thank you for being here.
Rich?
My name is Richard Chin. I'm the manager of rates for Eversource. I believe I spoke to the city of Springfield last winter, so it's nice to see all of you again.
Yes, Rich, and you did an excellent job. Thank you for being here.
And then rounding us out is David.
Good evening, everybody. David Velez, Director of Field Operations for Western Massachusetts.
Thank you, Dave, for being here. And I'll quickly go into if someone raise of hands, if anyone online that's joining us, if you're looking to participate and you want to introduce yourself, just raise your hand. Okay. So I now also want to allow counselor to greeting from the counselor, Victor.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Councilor Victor Davila, Forest Park. I look forward to a very lively and thoughtful, insightful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And I also have Minister Stokes. If you can introduce yourself.
I'm Charles Stokes. I'm a community activist, and I'm just here to listen and ask a few questions and support whatever way I can.
Thank you for being here. So basically, I usually like to show courtesy, allow my colleagues to go first, then the public. So I want my colleague counselor, I'll yield the floor to him for any questions you might have or concerns.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I would like to say thank you to Eversource. My understanding is that I'm sure we're going to be talking about this later on about the issues on State Street. My understanding is some of those issues have already been resolved. Thank you for doing that. Although I think that and it's something that I said in the past, we need to be a little bit more efficient when it comes to restoring the lights that are burned out throughout the city of Springfield. And the issue with the electricity bills, it's significant. There was a big announcement in the paper today. There's going to be a state investigation on this. And so I know there's many factors involved in this, but it's getting quite a bit of hand. It's getting out of hand on this, the billing. And so it's really affecting people's pockets. Look forward to see what you guys have to say, and I yield the floor. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I don't know if is there a question or that I'm sure we'll address that. Stokes, do you have any questions you might want to ask Eversource?
Yeah, about the street lighting, yes. That's about it. Excuse me, I wrote some things down that I wanted to be. Springfield, it continues to rank among the most dangerous municipalities in Massachusetts for pedestrians, with quarters such as the State Street and surrounding areas identified in prior safety analysis and high risk due to outdated infrastructure, inadequate lighting, and insufficient pedestrian protections. Community reports and Springfield Police Traffic Unit communications have acknowledged poor nighttime lighting conditions in areas associated with fatal crash investigations, reinforcing concerns that known visibility remains a risk. In 2001, in the same area of Federal and State Street, a community resident by the name of Greg Gabardon was struck and killed in an accident fatality. 4 years later, Sylvia Gladden was struck and killed in the same area. The son of Greg Gabardon called me, and he doesn't drive up the State Street quarter much, and he said 4 years after the death of his father, the street lighting remained the same. So my question to Eversource is, what is the protocol that is the process that is used when it comes to repairing the lighting in these areas?
Yeah, I could probably jump in there to start it off from the Eversource's perspective. So thank you very much for the question, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about this. So Eversource does have a process, and we're happy to kind of go into the nitty-gritty with you guys as to how that works. But we actually have, in years past, we had heard some of this. I know you had just kind of referenced, I believe, 2001. So obviously, we've had a relationship for a while. It's my understanding, right? I haven't been at Eversource for that entire time, but it's my understanding that in years past, there was some frustration that built up over time. So we took that feedback and we implemented some solutions in order to streamline the process a little bit better. And namely, we have an application that sits on our website that anyone from the public can access. You don't need an account, you don't need a login information, nothing like that. But you can go to eversource.com, and in 2 clicks, you can get to the report a streetlight outage. All we need is some direction as to where it is. And once you do that, we don't need the exact pole number. If you happen to have that, fantastic. We'll know exactly where it is. But if you have a rough address, right, I think it's 100 Main Street. There's 2 lights out there. Please fix them. And you can add 1, you can add 10 in a single submission. So that is the most efficient and effective way to let Eversource know that there's a light out. I know sometimes people like to call customer service, maybe call their city councilor, have the city councilor reach out to us via email or give us a call. And I guess we just want to call out that although that's an avenue, and I understand that the rationale behind that makes sense, but the most efficient way to do it is to submit it directly through the website, because otherwise we start maintaining multiple lists. There's both the priorities that have been officially entered in our system, and then there's a separate list that we're tracking down. So what I would emphasize, and I want to kind of take this opportunity to get the word out, is that please put it through the system, because that'll automatically, it'll hold us accountable, because it'll be time-stamped. You'll be able to track that request to understand when it was submitted, if anything, any updates have happened around that request. And it's helpful for Eversource as well, because it goes right into the system. There's one process, right? We know exactly the scope of work. We can allocate resources, and we can do it as efficiently and quickly as possible. So to directly answer your question, and we're happy to send over that link as well. If it's helpful, maybe the counselor wants to publish it in the notes afterwards that you send out. Maybe we can work with the administration to get it on the website, but I just want to keep ringing that bell that please submit it through the website, and we'll be jumping on that. And we've devoted a significant amount of resources to fixing the lights and ensuring that Springfield stays lit.
Okay, I just have a follow-up. So how well is that process working? And how many community residents have filed a complaint through your system?
So I believe it is working well. I can probably lean on David on my team here if you have a couple statistics around this about kind of the scope of work that, what we've done so far in the city of Springfield, and maybe illuminate anything that's outstanding right now, just to kind of show the scope of work.
Sure, I echo that. Yes, submitting it online, that's very helpful to us. It works out well. That gives us what we would call a corrective maintenance ticket that we can jump on. I'm looking at my dashboard right now. I see we've done over 1,000 corrective maintenance tickets this year alone. Last week we did 67 of them. Those tickets, as John mentioned, that could have 1 light on it. It could have 40 lights on it. Depends on how it's reported. But we have this process. They do come in a steady flow, and we process them and work through them. And like I said, over 1,000 tickets completed year to date.
Okay, so I just need to, from the community's perspective, that process seems not to be working. It took 4 years, 2 fatalities before the lights at 521 State Street got repaired. Due to the fact that families are working, taking their children in and out of school, is there some way that process can be revamped? Because it doesn't seem fair for the community residents to have to report the lighting is out, and that it is their responsibility to make sure that lights that are broken in our city are repaired. Is there some way that the city and the city council and Eversource could revamp what they're doing so that the lights can get fixed in a more timely manner? Because this process seems not to be working. There's still lights out on Oak Street, still lights out on St. James Avenue, and these are some of the high fatality areas in our city.
So yeah, to address that, we do believe it is the most efficient way to do it, because you can track it. So for example, if you had reached out to Eversource, if you called into customer service, if you went outside of the, the usual path, operational path here, it gets put on a secondary list, right? We're working off the primary list that we create, that is created through the online portal. So that holds us honest, and you'll be able to track that. So if you do submit it through that system, if there is a delay, to your point, you had mentioned that there's a good amount of time in between it. That system holds us honest. So that will directly address sort of that problem that you have there. If it's taking too long, you'll literally be able to track that and understand when this ticket was submitted and how long it's been. And then I think at that point it's a suitable time to maybe involve your city councilor to check in on it. Hey, we got this ticket over here. It hasn't been resolved. It's on State Street. Can you guys take a look at that? But we believe that that'll be few and far between. That should be the exception, not the rule. As a general matter, as David was saying, our teams are very good at this, right? We've fixed as an undercount 1,000 lights in the city this year, because there can be multiple lights on any given ticket, and we've done 1,000 tickets. So I'd recommend that. To the point about whether or not the residents themselves should be reporting this, the reason we set it up this way is that there are a lot of lights in Springfield. There are I believe 14,000, give or take a couple here or there. I would compare, the best comparison I could probably make is maybe like potholes. So the DPW, it's unrealistic to assume that they could drive around every single street all the time and wait for the rumble, so that they can then call their guys in to go fill that hole. They crowdsource it, right? You call in to the city and you can report a pothole, and then someone goes out there and fixes it. In a similar fashion, given 14,000 lights, we would have to have enormous amounts of manpower to send people around to check all of those lights, and it would probably have a negative effect on the second topic we're talking about today, about rates, right? It would be a very expensive thing to do, and it probably wouldn't be as efficient. So again, to efficiency's sake, we tried to make this process as easy and seamless as possible. Just a couple of clicks when you go to eversource.com. Anyone can do it. Again, you don't need an account. You can call someone if you need help with it. We're happy to work with you on that. I understand also there are some 311s that can also, some of the dispatchers can also fill that out for you, or, if you have difficulty, I know a few city councilors as well are very good and well versed in how this process works, so they can also be an asset. But ultimately, I hope I'm not saying that, that putting all the onus on you guys, but it really is the most efficient way to understand which one of the 14,000, where that needle in the haystack exists. So we believe that is, we've invested in sort of making it a very easy process, but we're all ears if you have some ideas to improve the process as well.
Yeah, thank you. And I know I see my Councilor Davila has something. I just have a quick statement question. I've driven through the main streets. The process that we're doing is absolutely horrible. With all due respect, it's not working. Not only is it not working, it's I give it an F minus. So really, basically, when you're talking about when you're going to see lights in, say, the State Street corridor, where there, and we have evidence where you'll drive by there, and you're not going to drive by there and see it until the nighttime. City departments are closed, and most people who might work first shift and things like that, who would report that, they're sleeping. It's nighttime. Okay, so now you're talking about the people who might be out there at night. Say they're out there third shift, they're out there at night. They see that the lights are raw. I'm saying on State Street, not in front of their homes. Okay, when they get off of work, they go to sleep. It's not working. It's not working. When I drove up Sumner, lights out. That's a main street. Drove up Wilbraham Road, lights are out. So it shouldn't, there's certain circumstances when you're talking about the location on main streets where you're not going to get the public input. So we do need some entity in place that can actually go at nighttime and address the issue. Hey, these lights are out. I believe that's where the problem is, because it doesn't work. I know in my area there are lights that have been out for year over year that are still out. So if someone can tell me that the process is working based on stats, I would say whoever writing them stats, they need to come. They're erroneous. I don't know. I don't want, those stats do not fit
The mandate.
visual and what people are actually going through. They're not adding up.
Right.
Okay. So I would say we need, as a city, I personally went out and I counted them. I counted some of them. I'm gonna go out every night, and if I gotta go and count them, I'll go and count them. But it shouldn't have to be me. Councilor Davia.
Thank you, Mr. President. John, I have a quick question for you. First, let me start with the website. I am glad to hear that now you can request a streetlight request through the website. That's a new change, and I welcome that change. And I think you're right, John. I think that it's going to help to streamline and keep a better accounting, if you will, of the lighting situation in the city. But if I may make a suggestion to you, John, I'm not exactly. I like to think I'm somewhat semi-decent with computers, and I'm gonna be honest. I just logged on onto eversource.com, and it took me a few minutes to find it. It's under services. I'm looking at it right now as I speak to you. If you guys want to jump on as well. It's under services, and you go, and it's all the way at the bottom. Then you click streetlight request, and then it has what a track request, install or remove streetlights, submit repair request. So I welcome that change. However, if I may suggest to you, John, and to your team, this should be right at the beginning of the website. This should be like, it will jump out on you. I see you have a place here that says gas emergencies. I don't know, somewhere in there that it will just jump out on you, because if it took me a few minutes to find it, just imagine the person who is less computer inclined, and even the elderly. They're going to get frustrated. They're going to go out. They're going to log off. So my point is, it should be more friendly, where you could see it right away, just like pay your bill kind of icon. So that would be my modest suggestion to you, John, on that. Any thoughts on that, John?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's some good feedback for us. We can bring that back to our web team and see what we can do to maybe make that a little bit more visible. But I guess I would say, in the same vein, I think maybe there's an opportunity here, right? Because we, as Leslie was saying, Leslie and Mike on our team, right? They're Springfield residents, born and raised, right? We believe that we have a good partnership with Springfield. We want to make this work, right? We don't want streetlights to be out. Maybe we can work with the administration, work with the city. Maybe we can get that on some city web properties as well, like the direct link. Just make it very, very easy, because if you have something out, first thing you think of is, let me call my city councilor, or let me go to the city's website. So maybe we can work with you guys on that to even put it in even more places as well.
So, but John, when did this change go into effect? I like the change a lot, John. When did this go into effect?
I don't have that information off the top of my head. I'm not sure, David. I'm not sure if you know that. but we can get
So
to
it's
that.
been, so Counselor, it's been available for a couple of years, but it's been modified and upgraded to make it a little, to make it easier. So
Okay.
from
I'm gonna
past
be honest-
comments, so.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, I've been a councilor now for 6 years. I've been active in the city for a total of at least 15 years. It's the first time that I hear about this. And I go back to my point that if I didn't know about this and I'm engaged, imagine the person who's not as engaged or who is not as computer savvy. So I love it. I love it. I love it. I also would suggest to you that just send out a quick memo to all the civic associations and neighborhood associations throughout the city and let them know what this, and 311 to be aware of that as well, because I think it's good. I like it, but it needs to be more visible. With that being said, let me follow up with that, John, or to Mike. We were talking last meeting with you guys, and there was a disconnect between the information you guys need to what 311 was requested, or there seemed to be some sort of disconnect. Were you guys able to follow up with 311 and get yourself on the same page?
So I need to double check on exactly what it is specifically that you're speaking about, but I can assure you that if you call 311, they're aware of the system, and can submit tickets, but we will definitely be able, we can follow up again if that's a suggestion that you have to just double check and ensure that they're up to date and aware of how the system works and how to submit those tickets.
Right, specifically because unless I misunderstood you, John, you're saying that you no longer need the poll number, you just need a general location, which I do recall you said the same thing at the last meeting that we had the pleasure of being together, John. But if you call 311, they're still telling you the same thing. So it's like, they're not going to go out in the middle of the night or wherever and get the bloody number, or they're not going to, or it's not there, it's gone. So I will encourage you, if you guys have not done so, or even just do a recheck in with 311, because honestly, you guys need to, everybody has to be on the same page. Also, but if I follow this correctly, if I may, Mr. Chair, these points should be sort of half mute in the future, because if I could recall correctly, you guys told us that we're now transferring over to LED lights. And I think that back a couple months ago, you guys told us that you were 70% done. I like to think that you're more than 70% done. So can you tell me what the current conversion rate is right now for the LED light, and how will that impact this situation with the lights being out?
Yeah, I'll jump on that. Wow. So what we've been talking about this evening has been the corrective maintenance when a light is reported out to us. For the past couple of years, we've been working on a capital replacement project. So taking the old sodium halide, the old style lights, replacing them with LED Cobra head fixtures, whether or not they were out. We just did a wholesale replacement. And of the approximately 14,000 lights in the city, those LEDs are over 12,000 of those lights. So we have proactively replaced all those traditional Cobra head, old style sodium lights with the LED, and that project is now complete. So that was completed at the beginning of November. That was a 5-year project that we compressed down into 3 years, 3 years ahead of schedule. So that's now done. What remains, as you see on State Street, are the other kind of lights, the non-Cobra heads, the decorative type fixtures. And now we're going through that remaining. There were 2,000 of those decorative lights. Those were not part of the scope of the capital replacement project. And we are now doing corrective work on those as they're called in. The other work that's still out there, whether it's a Cobra head or decorative, a lot of them are fed underground with underground wire and underground feed. And if the problem is with that feed, replacing the head is not going to matter. We have to pick up the dirt, we have to get in there, place conduit, replace wire, and that's going to take longer.
I understand. Mr. Chair, can I do a quick follow-up?
Yes, go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you. So Mike, So if I understand correctly, you're saying that the LED lights are done, correct?
Yes, the Cobra,
Okay.
the traditional sodium Cobra heads to LED Cobra head says project is complete.
So specifically talking about State Street, because that's legitimately concerned that State Street it could be a death trap in some places, dark. Um, what was the problem? So were they LED lights, the ones you guys had replaced?
Those were
Or,
decorative lights.
oh, they were decorative lights.
Those were
Okay,
not the Cobra head style lights. Those are the decoratives. They were
those
not
were the ones that were okay.
replacement.
And okay, uh, now what's the average life shelf of those LED lights?
What we're seeing from the manufacturers is those lights should last for at least 20 years.
20 years. And my last question to you, Mike, is I recall last meeting that we had, you guys were saying that you have two maintenance units now, I believe, for the city. Is that correct? Going out and responding to fixing lights, basically.
I think what you're referring to, we have the regular construction division that works primarily during the day shift, and we have what we call the response specialist organization. It's a much smaller group, and they work at night on weekends. They're generally responding to outages and to trouble. I think that's the two divisions you're talking about.
So how many guys you have on the outages and trouble, like you called it? How many guys you have?
The response specialist organization, the number per night varies. It's a much smaller group. I don't have the exact number on hand, but it's a smaller group of folks who are just out there on the off shift.
No, I just want to make sure maybe I'm not an expert on these, Mike, so please bear with me for a second. So I just want to make sure that I'm using the right terminology here. Those LED lights are bound to fail at some point. We have 14 to 16,000. So there's going to be something that's going to happen. I guess what I'm asking is how many maintenance / technicians / how many guys you have, how many available in the city right now, not at nighttime, but at the daytime to do regular upkeep of these lights.
On the daytime, the regular construction group, we can have anywhere from 6 to 10 crews per day. They are not devoted exclusively to streetlights. They do all of the electrical work, including serving our customers, outages, new connects.
It could be quite busy then, yeah.
Right. There's a lot of other things that they're doing besides streetlights.
So are those guys for Springfield only, Mike, or are they being shared with other communities?
The crews I just described are from the Springfield Area Work Center. They service the city of Springfield and surrounding towns.
That's a lot of work for 12 guys or so.
12 crews.
12 crews, that 24, 25 guys. That's a lot of work. Mike, John, I get you guys. Everybody's trying to do more with less. I get it. That's an issue for me. Whether, in my opinion, those guys should be dedicated here in the city of Springfield. You guys have, we need each other. It's a symbiotic relationship. And I think Councilor Brown is right. Something is not working. And so I know you guys are trying your best. I really do understand that. But now that we have these LED lights, I think we need to have this conversation, Mr. Chair, as to how can we make sure that they do get pay attention to quickly, because it will not do us any good when these lights start to fail, which they will at some point. That we're back on the same square one. And so, but thank you, Mr. Chair, John. Mike, thank you for the feedback, and I look forward to continue the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dahlia. I want to we're going to try to wrap this issue up I'll go through it real quick, but I see Councilor Whitfield and Councilor Hurst is on. We're going to go into the rates after this, but if you guys after this, if you guys have something real quick, because we still have, two parts. So
Okay.
Counselor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for putting this meeting together so quickly. I think I met John before on the last meeting, so thank you for agreeing to come back and have this discussion. And I've seen some work happening on State Street. So we've actually been working on this issue with the Mason Square C3 for the past 3 to 4 years and been having these meetings for quite some times. But I do appreciate the advocacy of Counselor Brown and Charles Stokes and the rest of the team for advocating on behalf of our residents because there's been a few deaths and one is too many. My question is about the contract that the city has with you all. How much is that? How much do we pay annually? If anybody knows?
I don't have that number handy if that was directed at Eversource,
Yeah,
but potentially someone on the city side might have that info.
Madam Chair, unless if I may, if I'm not mistaken, for some reason, $3 million is ringing in my ear right now.
3 million. Okay, so
Yeah.
I guess my question is with the $3 million, I know that you all depend on average citizens to report the street light sets out, but is there a proactive crew that maybe go to different communities and see if they notice any lights out, especially in communities like Mason Square that has historically been an area that get a lot of complaints because I get them and we talk about them quite often in the Mason Square C3. So I was just wondering if there's a proactive crew that does some of the work because average individuals are not going to know to go to the poll, get the number, where to look for the number, how to report it, know that you can go to the app, know that you can call 311. They just are not going to be privy to that information. And I don't know if Gloria is on your team, but I just wanted to see if there's a proactive crew.
Eversource.
Yeah, so from our end, I guess we, other than the troubleshooters who are actively going out at night, right? Because that's typically when a light is out. They're and correct me if I'm wrong here, David, but they're doing work on the broken lights that we know exist, right? That have been processed through the system. So they're not just kind of driving around looking for the lights to be out. We had sort of crowdsourced and created that application in order to more efficiently streamline it rather than have someone going out driving around looking for lights out. We'd rather pay people to do the fixes, right? Just so that's constantly that's what they're good at. That's what we pay them for. It's most efficient to have them out there actually doing their craft. We think that the investment in the website is helpful, right, for that application to feed into that system so that any person anywhere who happens to see any light out can write in and let us know that light's out. And I did double check. You don't need the poll number. That's not a required field. It's just the street closest, among a couple other things, but a couple other required fields, but closest house number, just so we roughly know where that is. But you bring up a good point, as far as being proactive, reaching out to some organizations and potentially, I think someone had brought it up earlier, might have been Councilor Davia. We 100% can reach out to some of the community groups. And in fact, if you have any recommendations about troubled spots, just kind of those nodes within the community that you believe that we should touch base with, just to let them know about this, that it exists out there so they can kind of disseminate that information to all of their members as well. We're absolutely happy to take that feedback and act upon it.
And I know you got to move on, Councilor Brown. So I'll let this be my final question. Have you all looked into any type of technology that can alert Eversource to when streetlights are out? Like, there's some areas that police department can get notified if things are happening. Is there any technology like that can be installed?
So I know we are, I guess at the residential level, you're probably getting some notifications from us around AMI, advanced metering infrastructure, smart meters, just all kind of various ways of saying the same thing. That does do that, but that's more on the residential side. We are looking into long term, right? Looking at this problem. Right. The short-term fix and the medium-term fix is really kind of using this application, getting word out, getting that process down pat so we can kind of, get the business done. Longer term, we are looking into potentially finding an analogous sort of technology to those smart meters to potentially add that to the lights so that we can understand when any given light is out without being told by a human. But that is a much longer term solution, but definitely something, we're looking into.
Okay, thank you. I think that would be very helpful. It's too much technology out here for something not to be available. So I just wanted to put that out there and put that on the radar. Thank you, Mr.
Here, thank you.
Thank you, future Council President Whitfield. And I have one more real quick, which
I just wanted to say, like after the death of Sylvia Gladden and Councilor Brown and I did the press conference, 24 hours after that, Eversource began fixing the light bulbs. 48 hours later, they was up the State Street corner repairing the lights. It was expedited in a very good, fashionable way. Why did it seem like from the community's perspective that it took that for the lights to get repaired? And so the sense of urgency that it took for that press conference and stuff, can we find a way to have that same sense of urgency when it comes to just repairing the lights without the citizens have to be the ones to doing all the reporting? I mean, and people have asked me to ask, the rates keep going up, our prices keep going up, but our street lights are not getting repaired in an efficient time. And people are really, really concerned about that. So what is your response to the community when it comes to that?
Yes, I guess I'd start off with, the accident that occurred, is a tragedy. And our hearts go out to the family and the wider Springfield community. Something like that should never happen to anyone. So we are very sorry, and our hearts go out to the family. But we are more than willing to work with the community and the wider stakeholders of everyone to kind of solve this problem to make sure it doesn't happen again. And so to do our piece, right, we were obviously going to respond to this thing that had happened that's very much outside of normal course of business and is shocking to any to any person, right, who has a heart. So we were obviously going to prioritize that and get way out ahead of that and immediately go fix that light if it happened to be out around in that area. So that's probably the initial reaction you see, because we had the initial inclination, the human inclination to just go do something to help now. But I guess like holding this forum and being able to get this word out to the wider community about like, how do we make sure this doesn't happen again in the future? It's multifaceted, but if there's one part that Eversource can play that happens to be a small, the streetlight angle of it, we want to make sure that everyone is aware of the process that happens here, so that we can get that information earlier. We can get it often, and then we can go out there and we can make those fixes so that at least of the many contributing factors, we can mitigate our piece of it as much as we can. But again, I do want to tell you that, our hearts do go out to the family and the community, and we're very sorry that we obviously don't want to see something like that happen.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for speaking out. My aunt had just recently passed away a couple months ago on State Street. And so you say like basically that you don't want another tragedy to happen, but this was in 2001. Now we're in 2025, and now my aunt is gone. My family is struggling. You guys, State Street is a main street. We went over there when it had happened, all the lights are out. Basically, all the lights are out over there. That's a main street. On the news article, city officials even said that it's a main street that is not properly lit. You say that you guys acted when that situation had happened a couple years back, but when something happened with my aunt a couple months ago, nothing had happened. So I'm just curious as to what is going to end up happening, because my family is suffering. My family is hurt. And I speak for my grandmother that doesn't have her daughter anymore. I speak for my mother and my aunt that doesn't have their sister anymore. So, and my cousin doesn't have her mother. So I'm just curious as to what is going to change, because like you guys said before, nothing is, it's obviously not working because people keep dying. So I just want to know what could come out of this, because this is, it's like really affecting my family in a very negative way, and it's touching other families that have been in accidents, have fatalities and such and such. So I just want to know what is going to be done in a timely manner, because I don't even know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there's a lot that a lot of people are feeling due to this type of thing, and my family has specifically felt a lot of hurt. And I get it's a very long process, but what's something that we could do in a timely manner to fix this problem?
Thank you, and I want to thank you for being here. My condolences to the family. Thank you definitely for being here, Eversource. And then I see, I guess we're gonna stay on this subject, I guess, still, because I gotta let my colleague, Councilor Hurst, speak, and I gotta let Councilor President Whitfield speak. So, Eversource, if you can please address the family, if you want to. Please, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jada, I'm very sorry for your loss, right? That is obviously something that, Eversource, we do not want something like that to happen, and my heart goes out to you. I am truly sorry for your loss. To address specifically like what potentially could happen in this area, like what can we do? One thought here might be, we had mentioned putting in Cobra heads, and the distinction was brought up earlier around decorative lights and LEDs, right? Brighter, more modern LEDs that stay on. They're brighter, they last longer, and quite frankly, in some cases, they're quicker to fix, right? The decorative lights are sometimes more difficult to find the materials in order to get out there, even if we get if it's reported perfectly through the website, and a decorative light is reported perfectly through the website, and another LED light is reported through the website, it will be quicker in many cases to go replace the LED. So one suggestion, but this is obviously a decision that the city must make, right? As far as how you want your community to look and your streets to look, might be to swap out some of those decorative lights for the LED lights. Just one thought I'll throw out there, but I defer to sort of the decision making at the municipal leadership level for making that type of change.
Okay. Hi, I'm sorry. I just joined the conversation here, the meeting.
Hold on. If you're wishing to speak, you go to reaction, and then I believe it's in reaction, and you just raise your hand. And then I will address you when it's time to be addressed. It has to be a certain way that we run the meeting. I see Councilor. I see you. I will let you speak. Don't worry. Councilor Hurst is next.
Thank you so much, Councilor Brown. Appreciate your efforts. Charles Stokes, thank you for everything that you've done as well. You all have done the heavy lifting with respect to the press conference and certainly shining a light on it. I know when I was on the council, this was an issue. And going back to soon to be Madam President in her remarks, it's been an issue amongst community organizations for a long time. And then just hearing what I believe her name is Jada, who lost a family member, certainly my condolences go out to your family. She makes a very valid point. This main thoroughfare, State Street / Boston Road, has been dark for an awfully long time. And so I know I heard that you all had a maintenance crew. Uh, I would definitely go and make sure that you're doing some checks and balances with this particular crew as to how it is that they are operating here in the city of Springfield. Because if we can't get the lights fixed on a major thoroughfare like State Street, then we're doing something wrong. And the onus should not be on the citizens of Springfield to have to call in lights on many of these main thoroughfares. I identified this issue maybe 3 months ago when there were 20 to 30 lights and probably more going from the bottom of State and Main up to Boston Road. And it was an issue long before I pointed it out. And so the idea that, we don't have anybody monitoring one of the most, major thoroughfares in the city of Springfield is problematic. So I don't know what you all are doing, but whatever it is that you're doing, we need to think about doing things differently. I also want to point to what Madam President had spoke about earlier as well. It just seems to me that you all should have a mechanism to know when the lights are out. And I've seen some of your LED lights be out on Parker Street. Actually, when I was going to count the lights early one morning from State to Boston Road, driving down from where my house is on Parker Street, I saw at least 3 or 4 LED lights out. And so the idea that they last for 20 years, I don't see it. I just don't see it. So there ought to be some sort of mechanism on you all's end that will allow you all to know when a light is out and then to ultimately go and change it. And from my perspective, if we're giving you all $3 million, then we expect more than what it is that we're getting right now. So once again, thank you, Councilor Brown, for your due diligence and everybody who is here speaking on behalf of this issue. It's extremely important, and public safety of our residents should be at the forefront. Thank you.
Councilor Brown?
Yes, thank you, Councilor Hurst, Councilor Whitfield.
I just wanted to piggyback on a couple of topics because I don't want to belittle anyone else's advocacy efforts, because many people like Michelle Hyde, Richard Johnson, and other folks have been counting these lights for years. They get fixed, they go back out. They get fixed, they go back out. And we've been working with DPW 311. We've been working with the mayor's office. We've been advocating, maybe not as publicly as the press release that just came out, but we've been doing this for a lot of years now. And what I would like is a cost benefit analysis, and I'm just looking for that State Street corridor on how much it would cost to change out the decorative lights to LED lights. I don't know if that's been done, but it will generate conversation and have us look into our budget to see like what additional costs it would be to us, but also some of the money that's in your contract. It'll give us some negotiating room, but we need to know how much that's going to cost. We can't just snap our fingers and make that happen. And then the other question that I wanted to ask was, is there any temporary solutions for when lights go out? Because when we had this call, I think maybe a month ago, John, you said that some of the lights that go out are underground and they take a bit longer to fix. And I understand that. It's easy to go replace a bulb, but it's not as easy to go underground and fix some of the lighting issues. And I think that was about a month ago that we talked about that. When those situations are going to be longer, is there any temporary lighting that we can add to, especially the really, really, really dark areas. I see Luz Delgado. Hi, Luz. Luz came to the Mason Square C3. We had a conversation about this. We spoke to the mayor's administration about it. Luz lost her sister and also Jada's aunt, and it's heartbreaking and it's sad. And no one should lose their lives because it's dark on a main street of Springfield when we're paying the type of money that we're paying. So I just wanted to know if there's any temporary fixes that we could put up when you do have to dig into the ground.
Yeah, thank you for the question and the suggestion, Councilor Whitfield. I think we can probably, I don't want to speak out of school here. I probably got to bring the request back as far as like switching out what that might cost. So we can definitely bring that back and get a cost that's at least ballpark, just so we can have a conversation about that.
Sure.
So yeah, I can definitely bring that back to the team. And secondly, I can also bring the additional suggestion that you had. So yeah, when it's not just kind of replacing the head on it and just swapping another one back on. Sometimes it is like the wiring underneath it. You got to do some digging. It's going to take a long time. Yeah, it's an interesting suggestion, and we can definitely bring that back and see if we can, if there is we can look at what other utilities are doing. Maybe someone else has come up with a creative solution for this. But we can definitely take a look at maybe putting something up there. Again, I don't know what the regulatory sort of implications are of it, and it needs to be a standard wattage and in a certain position. I need to look into that, but definitely a good suggestion, and we can take that back and get you an answer on that.
And then one other question that I have for you is when you said the lights on the residential side are you mean just the electricity overall that are metered? Are you talking about that as opposed
It's the
to
meter itself, yeah.
Okay.
It gets a little wonky putting a smart meter for lights themselves. It's just set up differently than a traditional sort of like, the electrons go into your meter and then into your house. So it's very easy to sort of understand and make it smart. So it takes a little bit of a different technology to do that, but something again that we are looking into long term.
Okay, so my final well, it might not be my final suggestion based on this conversation, but my third suggestion would be to bring us back a couple of those smart technologies and how much they cost also, so that when we start replacing these lights, because we're gonna have to swap out the decorative lights. I know they're beautiful and they give character to the communities, but I want safety over decorative lights. I don't want anyone else losing family members and things like that. So if we could just get you guys to do some research on what type of technology is out there for when we do replace the lights that can let you all know when lights are out and the cost of some of those, so we'll have something to go off of, because we have to make this city safer, and sometimes it might cost a little bit, but we need to know what those costs are. And the safety of the residents of the city of Springfield is priceless to me. There's no cost or price affiliated with that. We just really don't want any more deaths. And Luz, I want to thank you. You're in Texas, right? And you come on these meetings, you come to C3, you actually been giving back to the community all the way from Texas. And again, I'm sorry about your loss, Jada's loss, and I don't know what other family members are on here that have losses, but
there's quite a few of us on here.
I'll never forget you. And I'm always out here still advocating for you, because this is what we're supposed to do as elected officials. So thank you.
Thank you, President Whitfield. I see iPhone. We're gonna I thank you for being here. If you can introduce yourself, and the floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Luz Pizarro, and I'm also a cousin of Joanna Pizarro that lost her life on September 26th on State Street. Sorry I joined late. I am in Michigan right now visiting other family members, but I was trying to I wanted to know, is this only about the lighting or is it just about safety itself?
I would say, to me, it's about Eversource is here about lighting and how it might affect safety issues. To the family, I believe as a city, I believe we'd have to have enough, we've still got to continue, this can't stop, where we still have to have a meeting to figure out when it comes to infrastructure and other things that we have to get into place for safety. Because for instance, right there where the package store is, that's an island where people usually will take that left.
Yeah.
And it's accidents everyone all the time. It shouldn't be there. They should just, seal that up. So
Right.
that's something Eversource really wouldn't be, privy to do. It'd be more the city. I'm not sure. Maybe council president probably would know what the committee it would be. It might be maintenance. I don't think, is it maintenance and development?
It will still be maintenance and development.
Okay, so
You could add public safety too, just to
And-
see how they would handle it as well.
okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay, just be real quick. I'm so sorry. Can I just? I'm just losing you guys because my internet connection is not too well. Is not well. It's not good. But I was just so it's also about safety.
yes.
Okay, so I was wondering, there's trees that are blocking also the lighting. Are you guys gonna do anything with those trees? I don't see anybody trimming the trees. The trees are overgrowing. They're blocking the lighting. When I was trying to figure out what happened to my cousin that night, I almost struck a lady myself. Not because I wasn't watching where I was going, but because she came out of the dark behind the trees.
And to be honest, I would say, I would believe that city, that's us. Am I correct, Counselor Whitfield? We'd have to, it's us, right?
Yeah, tree
Yeah.
trimming should be done by the Parks Department, and
Mhm.
I have put in requests over requests, so Eversource, this isn't your fault. For the
No.
trees to get trimmed, and so I'm gonna just say this as lovingly as possible. This is an executive branch problem, not shifting it from city councilors, but we
You're right.
have to make noise to the mayor's office, to the head of
Amen.
parks. Those are the ones who are responsible for the maintenance of the city. Like, we pass a lot of the laws and the legislation, and we're the closest body to the constituents and the residents. However, the work that gets done in the city is a mayor's responsibility and his department heads, and I'm not shifting it. We can always keep sending requests over to them, but to actually get the work done, they have to implement it. So the more
Okay.
voices that they hear complaining about it,
Yep.
especially if it's coming directly from the residents, will get them to act a lot sooner. So I'm just going to encourage
Okay.
you and your family to send messages directly to the mayor's office and to the Parks Department.
The
to
mayor's.
other- Yep, DPW, everybody. We can help you get those.
Okay. Are you able to send that to Ms. Pizarro? I mean, sorry, to Ms. Delgado to lose the information, and then she could pass it on to us as well. Also, another question I have, the police department, what are they doing to slow down the speeding? There's a lot of speeding. They put a humongous speed bump in front of the library. That's the only speed bump. I don't see any crosswalks. If there are crosswalks, they're not painted. There's no lighting that they can press a button to inform the drivers, hey, listen, someone needs to cross. There's no crosswalk at all on State Street or Boston Road. I was born and raised in Springfield. I know the city like the back of my hand.
Well,
There's a problem with speeding.
Mhm.
There's a problem with texting and driving. I even see police officers texting and driving. Again, the trees, there's a mess with the trees. Nobody's cutting those trees. And, I think that everyone should get together, or if you guys can pass on that information on we can reach, like you said, to make noise so they can start. Because how many more lives need to go? Like I said, I lost my sister. You know, we're losing family members. We're not losing dogs. We're not losing a deer. We're losing family members. And yes, oh, we can suggest so many things, but nothing is being done. I pay $400 a month of taxes working part-time to the city of Springfield for my family, for my sister to die so negligently at 9 o'clock at night, crossing the street from the store.
Okay, and I would just tell you real quick. A lot of time the community needs to support the community also. Um,
How do we do that? How do we
uh,
support each other?
I'm gonna tell you, um, there's a thing called neighborhood councils that a lot of people don't know about, and C3s that the community don't really know about like that, and they don't participate in them as well as they should. And
Because they don't know.
they don't know exactly.
Right.
So a lot of times people don't know there's groups of people that are a neighborhood council that's spread out throughout the city, and what their job is to advocate for safety, for anything. And a lot of times when you go to these neighborhood councils, they might be only like 4 or 5 members. Like they're fighting to get members, to get the community to come. And a lot of the meetings, they're on Zoom, they're on Facebook. Like you can
So
join.
who can we contact to tell them how would they spread the word? Hey, listen, we're here. How can you guys join us? We need more people. We need more forces. How can they then communicate and make themselves aware, make the community aware that they are available?
Well, we try, and a lot of times it's a lot of people who've been doing it a long time.
Okay.
And the city, I think they gave every neighborhood council maybe like 100,000 or something. Some of it was supposed to be for outreach and things like that.
Okay.
I don't, just to be honest, they need the support. They don't, if you go to any of these neighborhood councils, they definitely need the support. A lot of them are seniors, so they don't know how to, so say there's one in the Bay Area neighborhood council, she does a great job. She's a senior, she needs help. You know,
So so then how can the city of Springfield help these people advocate and say, hey, listen, we're here? Can they, I don't know, put them on Channel 22 News, Channel 40, put it in a radio station, pass out flyers,
yeah,
something?
we do, they do events, annual events and things. And then if you look, I think Councilor Whitfield put it in the chat. That's how you'll be able.
Okay.
So you can just pass it on Facebook. There's a lot of things that go on, and unfortunately, we talk about it as counselors all the time that the neighborhood and constituents just don't know about it. It's hard to kind of like, so say even to ask someone where I come from to turn on a computer and go on
I'm
a
sorry,
website.
I can't. I just froze again.
That's all right. And go on a website and then fill something out. I don't really see that many people are going to do that. I might not do it. I'm just, playing, but it's something that we got to revamp.
Right.
We definitely have to learn where we can come together. So even Counselor Whitfield, where she's at, her organization is throughout, C3 is throughout the city. So that deals strictly with safety. And I can assure you when I go to the C3 meetings, or I have, they definitely need more community support too.
And how do you guys advertise those C3 meetings?
Councilor Whitfield?
So we meet every Tuesday at 11, but the information is mostly on the website. A lot of information you can obtain going to Springfield. Well, it's not springfieldcityhall.com anymore, but I just Google Springfield City Hall every time because I can't always remember Springfield hyphen gov or whatever. So, and then it brings you to the link, and then you can search information by department. So C3 initiative is a police initiative. So if you go to the police department, it'll give you a link that says the different C3. So Mason Square C3 is just one, but then there's North End, Forest Park, 2 in Chicopee, and South End. So those are the higher crime neighborhoods. And so they all have C3s that meet at different days and times. Luz, I don't remember how Luz got the information to the C3, but she did attend. She was very wonderful there, and it was sad as well, because we had to hear about your cousin. I think you said it was your cousin. But
Yes.
sometimes you just got to ask us, you know, that's what we're here
Right.
for.
Okay.
Sometimes you just
Right.
got to reach out and ask one of us.
Okay.
All of our information is also on the website. So you should be able to get our numbers. And if you can't obtain our numbers directly, because sometimes they do change, you can call our staff and they will be able to give you that information. But a lot of
Okay.
information, I just want to encourage people that does not have the digital divide, that knows how to use technology, to check out our city websites, because there's a lot of resources. I mean, from housing to medical to dental
Right.
services to a lot of things that DPW offers, like snow removal and ways to make complaints. And also you can call 311. So that's
Okay.
our 311 has, like, you can ask them just about anything and they will at least be able to point you in the right direction. So making
Okay.
that phone call will also be a benefit to you. So thank you for
Okay.
asking the question.
Yeah, no problem. So then the C3 will be will be the meeting that I can talk about probably more police patrolling, more traffic. How about even just putting those little numbers that show you your speed and
Yeah.
starts blinking, hey, you're going 55 and a 35,
Yeah. So
or
sometimes, just to let you know about that, that's a process also. You got to get DPW involved, and the
okay.
department head for that is Chris Ignoli. But we can always help you start that process. And a lot of
Okay.
times when you come to C3 and tell us that, we have the mayor's staff there, and they go and they get the information for us, and you will have me on as a city council because I'm the co-chair of the Mason Square C3. But you also have other people on the meeting that have access to these people just because they know them or they've been doing it for a long time, that can also help out. So I think it's wonderful if you can get involved in your community meetings. I don't know what
Okay.
area of Springfield you live in, but I would love to talk to you more about getting like information out to the community, because we need to do more of that.
Definitely. I work in a health field, and you know, I can definitely spread the word. I work around people every day, and there's people, just not to say anything about our patients, but just yesterday I spoke to a patient who was hit on Boston Road and suffered a brain injury. Last 2 years ago. Things like that. And I'm sure this person would like to also join and speak their part and see what's, to prevent from this happening. It shouldn't happen. People's lives shouldn't get cut short because of negligence. We already have gun violence. We already have drugs in our streets, fentanyl. We already have prostitution. We have enough in the city of Springfield, bringing it down. Now we don't need our family members getting hit on the side of the road.
And I want to, my condolences again. I want to thank you and the family for being here. I see Counselor Dalio, but I want to move on. I still don't want to end the energy on this. We'll still keep in contact with each other about the lights. But there's a two-part. I want to now transition into the actual, the expected rates and the rate increase going into the winter and just period. There's been a lot of issues as far as the pricing and things like that. I've heard as far as even when it comes to delivery fees and things. I know you guys explained it real quick. If you can go over real quick what we're expecting, just a brief overview. And why.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, Counselor. I can probably maybe tap in. Rich, did you happen to have were you presenting on or planning on presenting something? Am I speaking out of school there?
No, I put together some slides so I can walk through these slides and show the town, what their bills are going to look like and what are the different elements of the costs.
Fantastic.
So just give me a second here. Let me try and put this up on the screen for folks.
And while he's bringing that up, Counselor, are there any other, what to expect looking at the heating season here? Is there anything else specifically that you'd like us to address along the way here?
Well, my thing is, I know the rate itself is, to me, insane. I don't truly understand it. I know I've read in the paper today, you guys were having certain issues when it comes to with the state. I know the state are having certain issues and things with you guys as far as the cost and the pricing. I've already heard kind of why. I just still would want a different overview of the why again for the public, and what changed, because last time we met, we did say that we were going to work together. There was supposed to be a discounted rate. I think there was a few dollars given, and then it was put back in. So, what if you could just briefly explain? I don't know how much you can discuss what's going on in Boston and what's going on here. What's going on with these energy rates?
Sure. So I'll walk through these slides and I'll try to I'll do my best to explain the bill to all of you, and then I'll fill in any questions that folks may have. So I'm just going to start off here with a presentation of the discussion of the bill, because there's been a change in the bill presentation. You've probably seen some press on it. Some people like it, some people don't. The bill has been revised to break out the different pieces of the delivery. So before, what customers saw was just two pieces here: supply and delivery. And delivery really included a lot of different items. And what we heard from our customers and from last winter when I spoke to all of you is that we really don't know what's going on inside of that delivery piece, particularly I think the local distribution adjustment piece, which has many rates in there, including energy efficiency, GSEP, which is like a main replacement program. There were lots of costs in there. So we tried to design this bill to make it a little bit more informative for customers. So now there's going to be three elements in the bill. It will be the supply piece, this maintenance and infrastructure investment, which is really the distribution piece, and then this public benefits piece. And I'll show you what's inside of each of those. So the supply piece, that's the cost of us procuring the gas for customers. So we basically have contracts with different pipelines, and we look at what the price of gas is on the market, and we procure that for customers on a seasonal basis. So gas is going to be more expensive in the winter than it is in the summer. And that's because the demand for gas is just much higher. There's demand for gas from power from electric generators. Most of it is gas in New England, so they are also consuming gas, along with residential and commercial customers who are using gas to heat or cook. Maintenance and infrastructure investment, that's our distribution costs. So that includes the cost of us putting in the pipes, the services in the ground, compressor stations, everything that's needed in order to bring gas to the customer's home. We've also restructured this.
Rich, does that have to do with the solar stuff too?
No, solar is going to be on the electric side, and I'll touch on the electric side later in the slides as well.
Okay.
So it's going to be mainly, it's really good about the pipes and services that we put into the ground in order to serve customers. It includes the labor costs and the cost of the facilities itself. And then last is public benefits, which is really two pieces. It's the energy efficiency programs. That's the mass save programs that everyone is aware of. And also payment assistance programs. That really relates to the low income discounts that we give to customers. So qualifying customers that are on the assistance programs, which are the variations of the regular rate, they get a 42 or 25% discount on the gas bill. So this is just a comparison of what the bill looked like before, which is on the left-hand side, and what the bill looked like on the right-hand side. So it's not a big difference, but the difference that you see here is in this middle box here, which shows there used to be just supply and delivery, and you didn't really know what delivery was. So we tried to break that out a little bit more for customers so they can better understand where their costs are coming from.
So I still don't understand that's where the delivery charge is coming from, the first one?
Yeah, let me show the next slide and I'll try and show a little bit more of a detailed breakdown.
Yeah.
So here, just as an example, these are the current prices that are in effect this winter. So I tried to group them into each of the categories that customers would see on their bill. So the customer charge, this is a residential rate. So it's $12.20 for a customer charge. The customer charge is basically is recovering the meter that customers have, and the service, which is basically the line that leads from the street to the customer's home. That's basically what the customer charge will recover. Maintenance and infrastructure is going to be the services that are in the street itself. So that would be the pipes that's leading to the customer's property, the compressor, regulator stations, all of the equipment that's needed in order to deliver gas to the customer's home. It also includes O&M, so any kind of operation and maintenance cost that the company incurs in order to maintain the system, that's also going to be included in the distribution rate. The other big item that used to be included in this distribution adjustment section was the Gas System Enhancement Program, or GSEP is what is commonly called. And that's a main replacement program that started with the explosion in Lawrence.
If we can stop, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Sure.
I want this to kind of be interactive presentation.
Sure.
So I know I have Dewan has a question, then I see Councilor Dahlia.
Yeah, so listen, business minded, right? When you look at this, a lot of these charges that are being passed on to customers, how much of that is being shared by your profit margins as well, right? Because I'm sure if we go Google and see the profit margins and what the CEOs are making, I'm sure that number is not going down. But what's happening is it looks like customers and residents are being responsible for your infrastructure and maintenance, where that is a business expense that you guys should help carry that weight as well, not just pass that off on your customers. To me, what that sounds like is corporate greed. So as our bills continue to go up, your profit margin continues because you just pass on expenses of what it costs for you to do business to your customers who are struggling. Now, I understand people are in business to make money, but what's happening right now is making things unaffordable for residents, and it's not acceptable. So that's part of the reason why also this meeting was called, because we want some accountability, right? We want to understand what's happening to some of our residents. Now, I understand people that have low income, there's different benefits and stuff that happen, but it looks like the other residents that don't qualify are paying for that subsidy as well. Again, I question how much of that weight or burden do you guys take to your bottom line and profit margin rather than pass off onto the customers? The other thing, I see that there's an initiative in Boston where they're allowed to buy bulk energy to deal with the supply line. Because really, when people look at their bills, sometimes it's ridiculous. You'll see your distribution charge is one rate, and then supply is a whole nother thing. And you're like, what's going on, right? So we want opportunity to also allow the city to buy discounted bulk rates to also sell to their residents. And if the program like that doesn't exist already here, is that something you're willing to implement in the city of Springfield?
Yeah, let me try and take that in a couple of pieces, I guess. So I understand that affordability is a big concern. That is a concern across the state and across the country today. And I think, as referenced earlier, the DPU, Department of Public Utilities, has opened up an investigation into rates and bills impacts to customers. And that is going to be a very big docket that looks into the different types of rates that are in place today and how the electric utilities and I believe gas utilities as well are designing their rates and placing them on customers' bills. So, and that investigation will be open to the public. So there will be an opportunity for everyone to participate and offer their opinions as we work to a better solution to address the concerns that everyone has. On that second part regarding bulk supply, I would say that's probably more on the electric side, if I understand correctly. There's community aggregation that happens, and that's available to every city, town, and town. Right now, customers can select an alternate supplier if they want to. They can go and select someone like Constellation Energy or some other alternate supplier. The problem with that often has been is that it requires the customer to really monitor their prices and compare them to Eversource. Eversource procures the electric power on a competitive basis. So we select the lowest bid and we offer that to customers. But customers can go to a supplier and find a potentially better price. In fact, I think probably 80% of our load these days are actually on alternate suppliers, but a lot of it is being done by community aggregation today. And that actually gives the community greater power because they're able to leverage all of their citizens' electric load and go to that supplier and say, you can serve us, but give us your best price. And you can compare that to Eversource. So that's something that Springfield can do. It's something that the town has to kind of organize together, and you could group together, I think, maybe with other communities, but that's certainly an option available to you.
Thank you, Richard. I see Councilor Davila. I'll let him, he has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Quick question regarding, I'm not quite clear with the public benefits portion still. I'm looking here at interactive bill. It says that the public benefits is the cost to support energy programs authorized by the state. The change is dependent on usage. Is that usage upon the usage that I do for the gas that I use at home, or is it the usage, the average usage for the region/state?
So the public benefits section of the bill that consists of two charges. One is energy efficiency. That's basically the Mass Save program. And then the other one is for payment assistance programs, the discounts that we give to customers who are taking the low income rate. So those are the two costs that are contained in the public benefits section. It's billed on a volumetric basis, which means that we take whatever the costs are associated with those two programs, and we calculate a rate based on the sales that our customers have. And that's what that decimal that you see there, it's at 43 cents per therm. So this 126 that I have here, that's just average usage of all of all residential customers for the peak period. That's what you would see like an average winter month. So the two are multiplied together. So this would be $55 on an average bill for public benefits, which would be for that Mass Save and payment assistance programs.
I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you if you could restate that again. So how do we calculate the public benefit again?
Sure. So the public benefits is two pieces. One is the Mass Save program. So the Mass Save program, that's a very big program that's coordinated across the state. So all the electric utilities, gas utilities, they get together and they establish what the different offerings are going to be in I think it's a 3-year plan, and they determine all the different programs like incentives for installation customers' homes, for heat pumps, et cetera. They establish what programs are going to be offered, and there's a budget that's set up. That budget is then allocated to different customer classes. So residential customers will have one rate, commercial customers will have another rate. And that budget is, so the dollar amount of the cost of, say, the Mass Save program, we take that and we divide it by the estimated amount of sales, the total therms that we would have, let's say for residential customers. That gives us this particular rate. So that's how we recover it.
All right. Now, with the public benefit portion of it, the other program was the low income. So that means that the person that gets a discounted rate, other people are contributing to that towards that discounted rate, correct?
Correct.
Now, I have to say that I didn't know that. I'm just learning something new here. When did this take into effect, and is the state law policy? What is this?
The low income rate, the discounts there that are being recovered here?
Yeah, specifically, and I have to ask I think it's the mandated follow-up question here. It's like, how are we making the rest you then pay for somebody else's low income rate.
Sure. So that that particular rate has been around for a very, very long time. Probably it was been in existence since probably the 1980s, was before I joined the company. It used to be a rate that was what you would see is that there was a separate rate, entirely different rate, and it was a lower rate. So low income customers would get a rate. Let's say a regular customer would get I don't know, let's say it was
Okay.
5 cents per kilowatt hour. A low-income customer would see 2 cents per kilowatt hour. You didn't see an explicit discount on the customer's bill. They would just see a lower rate. But that lower rate was calculated by moving the cost to other customer classes. So other customers were paying for it because at the end of the day, it's just about the total cost of the system or the business, and we shift those costs to different rate classes, trying to balance how much we charge each customer. But what happened was that when the industry unbundled, I think in 1998, so the utilities used to own everything. They used to own generation, transmission, and distribution. And then the state said, you got to split that up because you're a monopoly. So generation, now we don't own any generation anymore. Those are private companies. Transmission became like a separate business. And then the distribution was left with us. But that discount basically was that rate stayed the way it was, and it was too small because we didn't own all those other things. The supply piece in particular got bigger and bigger over time, and it wasn't controlled by us, but the discount didn't change. That rate was fixed. So the state said, you need to change that. Like this rate doesn't make sense anymore. If it's 2 cents, it's not really a 2 cents. Meanwhile, the supply rate is like, I don't know, 14 or 15 cents now, when it used to be like 3 cents, and they're not getting a discount on that piece. So you should change it to a percentage discount, is what the state said. And so that's when that was implemented, probably back in like 2008 or so. I think it became a percentage discount. And that percentage discount increases when we go in for a rate case. We adjust it. We look at how much bills have increased, and we basically try to adjust that discount along with it. Right now, there's actually a docket that's live before the Department of Public Utilities where they're investigating this discount. They want to expand it. And for example, in New Hampshire, they have tiers. So they'll look at, right now, I think it's like I think it's 60% of the state median income. I'm not positive on that as to qualify for the low income rate. What they want to do is expand the tiers. So instead of just a 25% discount for everybody, they want to increase the discount based on your income eligibility. And the state is basically exploring how that would work.
I see. Okay. And my final question, if I may, regarding the maintenance and infrastructure, I see that there's several components of it, but and I see that's on your sample bill here on the website. It says 10738. And it says cost of Eversource to deliver gas to you. It also includes the cost to build, maintain, and repair the local gas distribution system. I'm assuming that also include a lot of the contractual agreements, wages, benefits, and so forth and so on, correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And if we imagine a pie chart, how big of a portion that would be in terms of contractual and wages?
For the operation costs, I actually don't know that offhand. I could probably give that to Mike like after the meeting, and maybe he can relay it back to all of you. I'd have to look that up.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand
Sure.
of this bill, because I think somebody just made a comment like, you have to be an engineer and just to understand your bill.
Yes.
You know, and I look at it and I try it and I get confused too. So,
I know, and I get bewildered when I look at the bill sometimes because it's changed a lot, you know, and I totally understand. It used to be very basic bill, customer charge, distribution was the pipe, and then you had supply. And I think what's happened is that the unbundling made it a little bit more complicated, because now we also have these we wanted to show people more detail by showing the pieces, but the pieces became more complicated when we started adding in different programs as well to try and meet different goals. So, and we want to show that detail, so it just becomes more and more complicated bill.
And if I may, the final question is, well, with the chart of protection for the elderly, is there an automatic trigger age-wise, or do you have to apply for chart of protection?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question again?
For the chart of protections, do you have to, for the elderly specifically, Because I know you could get a medical certification keeping you from getting shut off your gas if you're not able to pay it. But for the early specific, is that, do you need a certification or is that an automatic protection based upon age?
I actually don't know how that works. I don't know, John or
Anybody,
Mike,
anybody can comment?
no.
Yeah, so there are, Counselor, there are different programs that are available, and we can put the programs that are available. It all depends, you know, it depends on income levels, and as well as if there's any medical hardship that would have to be signed off by a doctor.
Right.
It's not somebody that could just sign up themselves. It's got to be a doctor's note, and it's got to be formally submitted. Okay, we could share what we'll do in the chat. We'll add the bill assistance payment programs that's available for people.
Gotcha.
And
But-
I think that's available on our website too, Mike. I think it's eversource.com/billhelp has some additional information
Okay.
regarding the different programs. And just one other comment really quick on your question in terms of the structure of the bill. You know, to pick up on some of the things that Rich outlined, you know, just looking at the different components here, you know, the supply portion of the bill, which is something where we go out and procure in this instance, gas to be able to serve our customers, or electricity on the electricity side. You know, that's something that what we pay to go out and procure that power or that gas is ultimately what we charge. We don't receive any profit on that. It's simply what we pay is what we charge our customers. And Rich touched on this too, but customers do have the opportunity as well to be able to take control of that portion of their bill as well, and potentially identify a supplier as well. And on our website, I believe it's eversource.com/supplier, that has some information regarding you know, different options where customers can review third-party suppliers to see if that's something that they would want to pursue in terms of their overall bill. And then, as Rich touched upon, you know, the public benefits portion is really the policy section of the bill, which is something that we administer. And the maintenance and infrastructure portion, as you talked about, is really where our infrastructure is included in the investments, you know, to provide safe and reliable service to all of our customers, which is our number one priority, as outlined, and also includes all of, you know, the cost to actually operate the business on a day-to-day basis, as you mentioned, from a personnel perspective.
All right, thank you, Brendan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, because I just like to make things real simple, and I guess I'm going to ask for a real direct question, right? Let's not complicate things. So basically, any discount or discount rate that you all provide to customers, you are not taking that out of your bottom line. You are passing those costs on to other customers. So one, I want you to clarify that. That's either a yes or no, right? Second point is, usually that's fine, right? Because then people, just like the tariffs, right? You put the tariff and now people, the seller just increases the price of whatever it is that they're having brought in. And now the customers have a choice. Do I want to buy that or do I not? The problem is you guys have a monopoly and there is no other distribution that customers have to choose from. So what it seems like is that anytime you want to increase your bottom line or increase profit or whatever, you're just fine to do it because there's no other option for people. So we don't have a choice. So my question is, at what point do you take some onus on what's being created and what's being done to the residents, particularly the residents of Springfield, by what appears to just be greed and not want to carry another burden of these increases? And what commitment are you guys willing to make to carry some of the burden, maybe some type of percentage split of those type of incentives and initiatives that you guys give out to the people that are less fortunate, that you're going to carry some of that as well and not just pass that off to other customers?
Okay, so
go ahead, Red. Well, I can start with just a general comment, just to level set in terms of the process. So the entirety of our rate structure is regulated by the Department of Public Utilities in Massachusetts. So for every single rate that we go through and set, that is, you know, subject to a review process that's administered by the department. and ultimately a decision is rendered to approve those rates for each update that we make, and whether that is.
Excuse me, Brendan.
Sure.
I work in the state house. I understand the state stuff. That's not, the law is the law. We know the law is the law. If you can just stick to the question, please. Answer the question, please.
In terms of the
Carrying over the cross. I understand that it's okay. However it happened, it happened. Okay, I understand that. The question was basically,
is it clear that any discounts that are given to other customers, that cost is just being passed to other people, that you guys are not absorbing any of those discounts? Other people are just paying for it.
So I guess let me take a shot at that. So the answer is yes, that's correct. It's a public policy program, and the costs are shared by all of our customers. And then the second part of that question regarding like whether or not we can just increase our rates, it's a little bit more complicated than that. We can't just increase our rates at will. We have to go and defend them before the state. So we submit all documentation. We submit how much money the company is earning, everything, and the department and the state needs to prove that before rates can go into effect.
So Rich, basically, I know a lot of you guys, executives and things, they work on stock stuff, don't they? How well a company is doing, correct? Don't they get a bonus off of the stock stuff, right?
Yes, there's some kind of there's compensation that's related to the performance of the company.
And when you are sitting there, you're doing projecting on an actual budget, right? So if I said a year-to-year budget, every year, aren't I looking to make more money, or am I looking to stay the same?
Well, the amount of revenue that the company can collect is fixed, because when we go into the state, we show them how much money the company needs to earn in order to continue to make investments into the system, and that's set. And then the department says this is how much you can collect through rates, and that's all we collect through the rates. We can't just change it every year.
So you're saying, because I know last year you guys were what? I mean, 22 or whatever, you guys were like, what, 41? You guys did like a 40-something million increase or something. In 2024, from 2020 something to 2024.
Yeah, I think you're referring, so as part of that, so the way the rates are increased, we go to the Department of Public Utilities and we present a case. And that case is then approved by the department, which establishes new rates. The last case that we had, there was a 10-year plan, and part of that plan including an update for the rates.
Rich, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't mean to interrupt you. I just, because I like to, because when you say something that I just try to stay right there, so
Sure.
Be patient. So basically, still, there are certain political people who sets those rates, correct?
Well, I'm not sure if political is the right word. I mean, it's an administrative process.
It happened. Yeah, it's a political process.
So just to expand on that a bit, every rate that we file is ultimately reviewed through an adjudicate process that's administered by the DPU. And there are multiple interveners. The Attorney General's office in Massachusetts is a pretty consistent intervener in all of our different cases that will engage in the review of all of our different rates for every component that we set throughout the year, whether that's in the maintenance and infrastructure section, the public benefit section, or the cost of gas, or just the supply portion of the bill on the electric side as well. And as Rich mentioned, each year we also report as a part of our process the actual earnings of the company as well, which is reviewed by the department as well as the intervening parties as well. And that part of the process, the actual update typically to our rates in terms of the return on equity that the company actually earns, is typically done through a rate case process, which is not something that's typically administered each and every year. Typically, that's something that's done on a 5-year cycle, or as Rich mentioned, there is a 10-year plan that we have for one of our utilities in Massachusetts as well, and that's when that is completed. That portion is not something that's done necessarily annually in terms of a total adjudicated rate case. But for many of the different rate reconciling mechanisms, such as the supply portion of the bill, where the costs that we incur are what we include in our rates, that's updated each and every year through an annual process, and is also reviewed and approved by the department, as well as scrutinized by the intervening parties as well.
So, bro, how hard would it be for you guys to take half of that infrastructure on Eversource end? Why couldn't you guys just split that in half and you guys, good faith, take some of that? Why wouldn't you guys take some of that, some of the costs you're putting to us, and you guys take it on? Like when your profit margin, when the city of Springfield, when we have to dip into our rainy day money to lower the taxes, I'm requesting, I want you guys to try to figure out a way to take some of your profit margin and divvy it in a little better into into the savings.
So, just something to point out there in terms of our, infrastructure. Obviously, our number one goal here is to provide safe and reliable service to all of our customers across our communities and our service territory. And, the needed infrastructure investments from a safety and reliability perspective.
Does that mean you guys going to help pay for it, is what I'm asking?
So I think
it's required.
Yes. So again, that's something that is not updated each and every year in terms of, there are certain components of our capital investment, which is tracked each year. It's the gas system expansion program, or the GSEP program that Rich mentioned, which is really focused on the safety and reliability aspect of the bill.
Is there anything on that bill where you guys see that 147, 123? Is there anything on that you guys can you guys take some of that burden on, is what I'm asking.
I guess the way to answer that is, again, from the way our rates are updated, there's all the investments that we make where we actually do earn a return on, which is determined in a rate case, ultimately determined by the department when we go through that, is not something that's necessarily updated each and every year. So there are, as we're making continuous investments in the system, that's not consistently.
I don't need maybe you're not getting what I'm saying correct.
Counselor.
I'm saying it can change. I don't care if it changes. I'm saying, will you take on some of the financial responsibility? Yes or no?
Counselor, maybe let me as part of it costs tens and hundreds of millions of dollars to run our system. The money that we collect through rates does not cover that. It would not be fair to the customers. It would not be fair to the rate base. We have to go on and take on debt. We have to go and take out financing in order to pay these costs to ensure that we have that safe and reliable system, as well as pay all the other additional costs that we have to have. And for instance, in most of these cities and towns, we are the largest taxpayer in most of these cities and towns. For instance, city of Springfield, it's $23 million, almost $24 million that we pay on an annual basis. So the cost that we're taking on to do this, we have a lot of debt financing out there that we need to have access to. So there is debt that we're taking on in order to provide these services.
And I guess let me try and take a different spin on this. So let me take that scenario. Let's say the company took on half of those costs. I think what would happen then is that investors would lose faith in the company, and if the investors lost faith in the company, then we would start losing the ability to invest in the system, and then the system would start to deteriorate, and it becomes a circle that would be difficult to emerge from.
I understand that and that's basically because it's a for-profit. So, and we do know that you'd have to absolutely be crazy if every year you're projecting to just stay the same. I'm just asking about flexibility on both parts. It seems like there isn't a penny on any part coming from Eversource.
So I would say that I referenced this docket earlier. The department is going to investigate regulatory frameworks. There was a task force that was started by the Department of Energy Resources to look into regulatory frameworks. So I think this will be part of a wider discussion that the state will be having.
So, and one thing I would say, Rich, is, and I thank you guys. You guys always, and the thing about the state, there's certain things that they're able to do legally and things like that. And there's things that we can do. I would just want you guys to still go and explain to some of the people who divvy up some of the stuff that I'm looking to freeze all work. What would happen if I freeze any type of work order that you guys request for in the city, and then I push the movement throughout every single city in Massachusetts, my colleagues in other cities saying, hey, let's not let them do anything until they drop the brakes, until they work with us.
So, Counselor, I might want to jump in there. I guess I wouldn't recommend that, right? The permits that we take out to do work supports the people of Springfield. It supports making sure the lights are on. It makes sure, it supports ensuring that new businesses can open so we can put new service lines to them. It would basically be like cutting your nose up to spite your face.
Maybe we should start with the lights being on.
Yes, but I guess I would just say that there are probably more effective mechanisms to address these issues. Like Rich was saying before, right? The administration is undergoing a review, and many stakeholders will be able to be heard. The city of Springfield could 100% be one of them, and I'm sure they'd be interested in the perspective to help mold and inform whatever comes next, however the system is altered.
John, I can assure you. So say when you guys talk about certain programs, that a lot of that stuff in certain areas, we're getting built for that stuff. Okay, that we don't benefit from. So I do know when it comes to say even some of the things that are happening on a state level, I'm not confident with that. I'm definitely not confident with any of that stuff. I would just still, I plan as a city body for us to look and see what the state is doing. But until then, I will not support any work orders for anything that Eversource will do until they address our issues. And I will push a move. I'm looking to push the movement throughout every city. So I would think that it would be, people a little bit higher up, once they see momentum of them not being able to get their work orders or work done, hopefully they will send you guys back to us. Or I don't know what I don't know, whatever they're gonna do, I guess they'll have to do. But I'm basically not waiting on the state to have the answer. I know as a city, we cannot allow you to do any work orders, correct?
I think, Counselor, we would like to work with you, right? We want to see the city of Springfield more as a partner rather than an opponent here.
Yes, and it's not you, John. I definitely want to work with you guys also, but I need to at least come to a common ground where we're at least being flexible with each other and coming to a common ground. And
Counselor, there's a process going on, as you mentioned earlier, with the state. They're looking at every line item, so that is going through the regulatory body. That is going on, and as John mentioned earlier, our work orders are for the customers, your constituents, your citizens, our customers, and the integrity of the system. So
we pay for it, and you guys make money off of it.
Counselor, we do work for the integrity of the system, for the customers. Right. There's a cap on what we can, it's all regulated by the DPU. Mm-hmm. So that's a Department of Public Utilities determines that.
And what happens is when people play politics, it's fine. I'm a politician, but I'm really just a regular guy too. So I do understand the state stuff. I understand the city stuff. There's nothing from stopping me from saying you guys can't do any work here until you lower the pricing. You can't really, I know the state, they're fighting with you guys trying to get it figured out with whatever amendments or whatever. But I believe if we hit your bottom line and then you guys will start negotiating. Let's come together. So I would just ask you guys to go speak to your heads, explain to them that this isn't just going to be something that's going to go away. They have no choice but to try to bring something to the table, being more flexible. And I'm not looking for the state, municipality to take on this portion of it. The city municipalities, I'm looking to take on this portion. I'm asking them to stand with me now and to say, let's not approve any work orders. And you guys want to figure it out in the state, figure it out in the state. That's on you guys. But I know as a city, we can stop y'all from doing work. So that's kind of where I'm holding at. I definitely appreciate you guys. You guys are probably the only reason I believe that I've been patient. You know, you guys have represented Eversource in a great way. So it's not you guys, okay? But unfortunately, it's something that's been plaguing our state. And I think a lot of people really hasn't taken into consideration that as a city council or city councilors, we can just stop your work orders. And then you can't do any work until you listen to us. Anything, John?
No, I would just say that, we'll look to work with you, and, we understand your position, but we'll continue to work with you wherever we can.
All right. And I thank you, John. I thank you. I thank Mike. Thank Rich. I thank you guys. You guys always are top notch. Once again, I just want you guys to realize it's never, and for the public, it's not you guys. You guys are definitely heroes when it comes to lobbying and fighting for the constituents and people for Springfield. It's not you guys. It's still business. And I just want you guys to be able to go to some of the people up top and just explain to them that as a city, we're not going to okay any work orders until they lower it. If they like it, they like it. I don't care. And I'm going to ask other cities to follow suit. I know city municipalities is different from state. I do know we can affect you. All right. So I want to thank you guys for being here. You guys always are top notch. And I'll still stay in touch with you guys.
Counselor, pardon me, for the sake of just explaining the Parker Street job, because that was on the agenda, I'd like to address it. We do have a subject matter expert here to explain it.
Parker, we ain't talking about Parker Street.
It was on the agenda on the roll call.
No, it's not.
Maybe it's.
No, it's not. Wrong thing.
Oh, my apologies. It was sent via email. We can discuss it another time then.
Yeah. So I want to thank you guys. I'm usually not this long. You know, sometimes counselors can be long-winded. And once again, I'll stay in touch with you guys. You guys are always top-notch to me. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.